Okay, so if I told you that the absolute most successful people in the world weren't just the ones who worked the hardest, would you believe me? Welcome to this explainer. Look, I'm just going to speak to you straight today. I know exactly why you're here, and honestly, I know you're probably exhausted. You're completely tired of hearing the exact same cliche motivational advice on repeat, especially when you're right in the thick of a real struggle. So today, we're not looking for some cheap inspiration. We want reality. We're going to unpack exactly why successful people experience failure and, maybe more importantly, how they actually process it when their whole world feels like it's collapsing. Because, you see, pushing boundaries, it intrinsically guarantees failure. If you are genuinely operating at the absolute edge of your abilities, things are supposed to break. That's literally the cost of admission to high achievement. Let's just subvert those expectations right out of the gate. We're constantly fed this myth, right? That success is purely the result of being the hardest worker in the room. We always picture this relentless, perfectly unbroken upward line. But the reality, the really uncomfortable truth that people skip over because it doesn't sound pretty on a poster, is that successful people are actually the ones who break the most times. Success isn't just about output. It's about endurance. It's about how many times your spirit, your plans, and your resolve can completely shatter, and you still, somehow, find a way to piece them all back together. Every single time a high achiever tries something new, they're risking a fracture. The difference is they expect it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world lets that fracture stop them dead in their tracks.
I mean, we've all heard the catchphrases. Never give up. Failure is the key to success. Just believe in yourself. But let's be real. These are just words. There is no real feeling behind them. When you're actually failing, when things are genuinely falling apart around you, hearing someone cheerfully tell you to never give up isn't just unhelpful, it's exhausting. You're bored of hearing these empty lines because they don't actually give you a practical way out. So today, I'm not going to hand you another empty quote. I want to share a real system with you, a structured, actual method you can use when everything feels like it's collapsing. But to understand how to rebuild using that system, we've got to figure out what keeps us trapped in the first place. Part 1, the 3 invisible walls. Let's talk about what keeps us completely trapped. Wall number 1 is the comparison trap. This is where we self-sabotage right out of the gate. We look at our messy, uncoordinated Chapter 1, and we compare it directly to someone else's highly polished, super successful Chapter 20. We look at their highlight reel, the awards, the big milestones, the effortless execution, and we stack that up against our chaotic behind-the-scenes struggles. Psychologically, this triggers an immediate deficit mindset. We instantly feel small, we feel hopelessly behind before we've even taken a single meaningful step forward.
Then there's wall number 2, waiting for the right time. This is when we convince ourselves we're just delaying action until we have the perfect environment, the absolute perfect resources, or we're just in the exact right mood. It's procrastination, cleverly disguised as preparation. We tell ourselves we're being strategic, but the truth, the right time never actually arrives. The perfect environment is a total myth. People literally wait their entire lives for the right circumstances, and by doing that, they just let time silently slip away. And finally, wall number 3, the fear of being seen failing. This is, without a doubt, the most dangerous and paralyzing wall of them all. People will completely abandon their dreams. They won't even try, simply because they're absolutely terrified of what other people might say if they fail. The fear of judgment stops the attempt entirely. So you end up failing by default, just because you were too scared to be seen trying. Okay, so we see the walls, we know exactly why we feel trapped, why we delay, and why we let fear dictate our inaction. So, how do we break them? How do we dismantle these invisible barriers keeping us frozen in place? This is where we shift gears entirely. We're moving completely away from the pain of the problem and stepping directly into the solution. Welcome to the Turning Point framework I promised you. It's highly actionable, it requires exactly 0 perfect conditions, and it is entirely within your control starting today. Part 2. The 1% rule, a turning point framework. 1%. Look, you cannot become perfect overnight. It's mathematically, biologically, and humanly impossible to jump from 0 to 100 in a single day. But you absolutely can get 1% better every single day. That is the core philosophy here. When we try to make massive, sweeping, dramatic changes in our lives, our brain's fear center, the amygdala, freaks out. It treats it as a threat and triggers massive resistance. It just feels too big, too daunting. But a tiny, microscopic improvement, it's so small it completely bypasses your brain's alarm system. Honestly, it's almost impossible to fail at 1%. Think about it. If your goal is fitness, you don't need a 2-hour grueling gym session today. Just do 10 push-ups. That's your 1%. If you want to start a business, stop stressing over a massive 5-year plan right now. Just have one customer conversation today. Want to master a new skill? Just spend 15 focused minutes learning it today. I know these tiny starts seem incredibly boring. They aren't glamorous at all, and no one is going to give you a standing ovation for doing 10 push-ups in your living room. But when these tiny, boring starts compound over 90 days, they create an unimaginable transformation that completely alters the trajectory of your life. Consider the timeline of a bamboo tree. This is crazy. For the first 5 years, a bamboo tree grows entirely underground. It's building these massive, invisible roots in the dark. To the outside world, looking at the surface, absolutely nothing is happening. It looks like a massive failure, a complete waste of water, soil, and effort. But then, in week 6 of the 5th year, it shoots up 90 feet into the air. Just like the bamboo tree, your hard work and those 1% improvements are happening right now, even if they're currently invisible to the world. You're building your root system. But if the 1% rule is so simple, and this bamboo metaphor makes so much sense, why do so many people still give up before they ever break ground? Well, we need to explore the true psychological reason behind giving up and why that underground root-building phase is so incredibly hard to survive. Part 3, why we actually quit. The real psychological reason. The common myth out there is that people quit because they're fundamentally weak, or they just don't have what it takes. Actually, scratch that. That is entirely false. The reality is, people quit because they stop seeing visible results. It's the absence of immediate, tangible feedback that makes failure feel so incredibly final. When you put in the effort day after day and see absolutely nothing sprout from the ground, your brain literally tells you it's over. We are hardwired to crave instant gratification. But remember that bamboo tree? The lack of visible results doesn't mean nothing is happening, it just means the growth is happening underground. So now that we know exactly how our minds trick us into quitting because of this lack of feedback, I want to give you a really simple tool to fight back. Part 4, the 7-day challenge. Smashing through those invisible walls. Let me walk you through an extremely simple daily routine to really cement this 1% habit. Step 1, dedicate a tiny sliver of time, literally just 2 minutes, every single night for the next 7 days. Step 2, grab a pen and a notebook and write down exactly one line. What did I do 1% better today? That is it, just 7 days, just one sentence a night. By doing this, you are manually providing your brain with that tangible feedback it is starving for. You're forcing your brain to actually acknowledge your invisible growth. You're proving to yourself that a real start doesn't happen once in a lifetime with some massive leap. Real starts happen daily, 1% at a time. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final, empowering thought. The real beginning for you doesn't happen while you're sitting here watching this. It happens tomorrow. When you wake up, the question echoing in your mind shouldn't be the overwhelming, can I do this or will I succeed? The only question that actually matters is, will I try 1% today? If this explainer awakens something in you, if you're finally ready to stop waiting for the perfect time and start building your roots, I want you to go to the comments right now and type the word START. Just that one word. I'll be reading every single one of them. Until next time, stay focused, and whatever you do, don't forget your 1%.